Hello and welcome back to my channel. It is a couple days into March and I want to talk about all the books that I read in February. A couple things about February. I did not do very well on my TBR. I had two books that I did not read at all, which was The Mysterious Benedict Society and The Perilous Journey and The Death and Life of the Great Lakes. I did not touch those two at all. I just ran out of time. And then Sad Cypress, I actually finished on the first day of March, so you'll hear about that one in my March wrap-up of reading. Otherwise, in February, I read 8 books. It was a combination of physical books from my TBR, ebooks, and audiobooks. So in February, for my birthday, I did get a Kindle, and I've been loving reading on this. So I read a couple books on my Kindle that I borrowed from the library, and I also had a couple of Kindle books, but I think all the ones I read in February were ones I borrowed from the library. I listened to audiobooks on my commute every day. So without further ado, let's get started. I have my bullet journal here. It is starting to look beautiful with multiple colors. And I'm going to do it in order of how I finished the books this month again, and we'll see if I continue to like that or if we'll change it up again. So, the first book that I finished in the month of February was House of Flame and Shadow. I bought this on the day that it came out, and it took me a couple days to read it because I had to go to work. Otherwise, I probably would have read this in 2 days. I read, which one is it? I think A Court of Silver Flames I read in 2 days, but this book is just under 850 pages, so I finished that one. Absolutely loved it. I love Sarah J. Maas's writing. I've loved her writing before it got super popular. I've read the Court of Thorns and Roses series multiple times. That's probably my favorite out of all of her series so far, but this was such a great read. It was so fast. I was so invested in the characters, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. The next book that I finished, and I just have my bullet journal here on my lap, so that's why I keep looking down. The next book that I finished was an audiobook. I'll pop it up here. It was Moxie. This is a book that had been on my TBR list for years, since I started my TBR list, so probably a good 6 years. I didn't really enjoy this book that much. I feel like I had outgrown it. It felt very cliche, and it really took a lot to get through it. I have a hard time DNFing books, so I don't know if I will ever DNF a book. I have a hard time leaving things unfinished, so that might be one of my goals for this year, is to DNF a book I don't like. But I finished Moxie. Like I said, it was just a little too cliche for me. I really didn't like the characters. I didn't connect to the characters, and I think I just am not the audience for that book. So that was book number 2 of February. The third book was a book that I read on my Kindle that I had borrowed from the library as an ebook. It was Four Dead Queens. I'll pop a picture up here. This book, it took me a while to get through. This book I borrowed from the library in the middle of January, and it took me until probably the middle of February to get through. I just wasn't connecting with the characters. I like the concept of the book. It just wasn't for me, so I'd say it probably rated about a 3-star, but I enjoyed checking that off of my TBR list. That was another one from my TBR list. I think I need to make a TBR list video soon, because it is quite extensive, and maybe we can work on tackling some of those books. And I actually tackle a lot of those books through audiobooks and listening to them on my commute. Okay, I'm feeling pretty chatty today, so book number 3 that I finished, no, that was 3. Book number 4 that I finished was The Sky is Everywhere. That was another ebook that I had borrowed from the library, so I'll pop a picture up here. And this book, I actually think I had read it before, and then never checked it off my list. So, and I also read it pretty quickly because my loan was expiring from the library. So I really don't have a lot of thoughts on it. It was good. It was like a nice, I guess light read is not the correct term because it deals with death, but it's definitely a book that was just kind of a filler for me. So that was book number 4. Book number 5 that I read or finished was A Touch of Darkness, which was an audiobook that I listened to. That one was a retelling of the Hades and Persephone story. I absolutely loved it. There's more books in the series. I have the audiobooks on hold for my library, so I'm hoping that I will get those sooner rather than later, but as of right now, I have a several month wait list on that, so I am hoping that I get it much sooner than that. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I was really sad when it came to an end. I wanted it to be longer, so I'm glad there's more books in this series, but I just really enjoyed the retelling of the Hades Persephone story. I also really like the author. I've read some of her other books. I've actually listened to those on audiobook as well. So I've been really enjoying this author's writing. And I need to check out some more of her stuff, and I want to get through, I think, her backlog of books. Okay, so then the next book that I finished is a physical book that I own. It is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I enjoyed this book. It took me a little bit to get into because I didn't like the characters at first. And still, some of the characters are like a little but the ending of this book was phenomenal. I thought it was so good that I ended up going to buy the other 2 books. I have Legendary on my TBR for March, so I'm definitely going to get to that book. But I thoroughly enjoyed this book, and I also enjoyed the cover of this book. I think it's really nice, and I'm ready to continue the series. Like I said, loved the ending of that book. Okay, next book that I finished, another physical book that I had been reading for a while. This one took me almost the entire month of February. I started in January, but it was like the 20th or 21st February when I finished this. The Secret History of World War II is just a pretty like dense nonfiction book. It was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. It's a book that I've had for a long time, so I'm glad to have finally read the whole thing of it. The next book that I finished, the last book that I finished in February, forgot what month it is, was The Crowns Game. This I also read as an ebook, so I'll pop a picture up here. This book I really enjoyed. I think it's part of a series, so I don't know if I'll pick up the next book in the series. Again, it skewed kind of younger. It's a book I've had on my TBR list for a very long time, so I'm glad to get it off of there, and we'll see if I continue that series. Maybe I'll make another video about all the series that I'm in the middle of. I think that would be kind of interesting, or at least all the series that I've started. But February was a very productive reading month for me, even though I didn't tackle a lot of my physical TBR, and now it is chock full of books because I have a lot of borrowed books on there. But that is everything that I read in the month of February, all 8 books. So far this year, to the end of February, I finished 16 total books in the year, but I already have number 17 checked off my list, and I'm hoping to get a couple more done in the next week. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.